Jesus said, "Show me the money." You can find it in today's gospel reading. Actually, he said, "Show me the coin." So let's talk sense about sense this morning. The first American coin was minted in 1776, fully authorized by the Continental Congress. Benjamin Franklin provided the basic design for this pewter dollar, inscribed with the word fugio, Latin for "I fly." This word was paired with an image of a sundial to depict how time flies. Franklin must have anticipated how money can fly away too. A continental dollar would be sold today for at least $1,500. Look at a typical American coin today and you'll see the words "E pluribus unum," Latin for "from many, one." Sounds like a noble sentiment describing our country's current struggle for authentic unity. But the truth is that our founding fathers borrowed these inspiring words from the title page of a British book published every year by Gentleman's Magazine. It was an anthology of articles, and the slogan originally meant, "From many magazines, one book." That's a bit like finding a new national slogan today in a tweet. Look at a typical coin today and you will also see the words, "In God we trust." This motto was not officially approved by Congress until 1956. Earlier in the 20th century, Theodore Roosevelt actually opposed the motto to be placed on our currency. He thought it a sacrilege to inscribe the name of God upon something so common as money. Nonetheless, in 1956, the motto was adopted by the nation, beset at the time by the threat and fears of godless communism. So what's in your wallet? What does your money say to you? I fly. From many, one. In God we trust. There's certainly a lot of meaning to be found in money. Jesus knows that money is a major factor in the shaping of our lives, for good or for ill. He focuses on it a great deal in his ministry, more than he emphasizes marriage and human sexuality. In fact, his focus on money is second only to the primary theme of the kingdom of God in the Gospels. For Jesus, money is not to be idolized nor demonized, but to be utilized to pay taxes to the governing authorities, but also to advance God's work in the world. Money is never an end in itself, a treasure to be socked away like a continental pewter dollar for over 200 years until it has grown in value up 1,500 times. What would be the point of that? You are going to die long before you see that kind of appreciation, and you can't take it with you. There was a man who had worked all of his life and had saved most of his money. He loved money more than just about anything. Just before he died, he said to his wife, "Now listen, when I die, I want you to take all my assets and put it in the casket with me. I want to take my money to the afterlife with me." He made her promise with all her heart that when he died, she would put all of the money in the casket with him. Well, he died. He was stretched out in the casket. His wife was sitting there in black, and her friend was sitting next to her. When they finished the ceremony, just before the undertakers got ready to close the casket, the wife said, "Wait just a minute." She had a box with her, and she came over and placed it in the casket. Then the undertakers locked the casket down and they rolled it away. So her friend said, "Girl, I know you weren't fool enough to put all that money in there with your husband." She said, "Listen, I can't go back on my word. I promised him that I was going to put that money in that casket with him." "You mean to tell me you really put that money in the casket with him?" "I sure did," said the wife. "I wrote him a check." The meaning of money is that it is an asset, a resource for us to put to work in the world. If you listen carefully, even in rocky economic times, like we are experiencing in the present, the money entrusted to you is not saying, "I fly," or "E pluribus unum." Instead, it is saying, "Put me to good use for godly purposes." If you haven't figured it out already, this is a stewardship sermon, so it needs to be said that good stewards are people who use the resources that they have been given to advance the interests of Jesus in the world. Everything that we possess has been given to us by our loving Lord in an extreme gesture of generosity. We don't really own anything ourselves, but instead we are called to care for the things that belong to God for as long as we are allowed to walk on this earth. We relish the gifts, we delight in them, we manage them, but then we let go of them. We break these gifts open for beneficial use. It's true that we have to give some coins to the emperor, more than coins. Death and taxes have been two of life's certainties, at least since the time of Jesus. But beyond this, we have a great deal of freedom to exercise in the use of the assets entrusted to us. As Anne Lamott puts it, giving is the way we can feel abundant. I would say giving is the primary way we can appreciate the abundant life God gives us. To give truly is to live. So what's in your wallet? What's it saying to you? And how are you going to use it in a truly spiritual way? Take a look at a typical American coin or bill. You'll see the words, "In God we trust," and "liberty." The phrase, "In God we trust," challenges us to rely on our good and gracious God and to believe that God will care for us in the future just as God has cared for us in the past. The word liberty reminds us that we are free to be generous in our intentional giving as faithful stewards of the great abundance that the Lord has given us. In a loving and generous God, we trust. With liberty, we support God's work through this church for the sake of an anxious and struggling world. That's the meaning of money.